Welcome back to the Bridge Effect. I have an important guest with me today, Gwatoh Kroma. If you could please introduce yourself and tell people who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, Gwatoh Kroma. I am the current COO of Loop Academies, which is a high school we just opened up last year in Monrovia. I am also a management consultant in technology, so that's my background for the last 20 years or so. I recently moved back to Liberia in 2020 from California in the US, and prior to California was in Atlanta. So my focus here in Liberia is just educating our young people and ensuring that when they go into the workforce, they have the skills necessary to be productive members of their community.
What pushed your decision to move back home to Liberia?
Well, the immediate push was during COVID. But this move back home has been something that's been ongoing. There's just always been this thing that said, Pulu, you must go home. There's always, no matter what, like even growing up in Atlanta, I always knew that there was a point in time where I would shave my perm hair off, grow my locks, and be eating cassava and gravy hair on a regular basis, or my good soup and dumbo. So it's been a long time coming, and every few years was like figuring out what's next.
Right.
How do I make my career point in that direction? How do I make sure my family is set up in a way to get me home? How do I ensure that everything I'm doing, all facets of my life, is sort of pointing towards being on the ground permanently? Yeah.
That a lot of people have that pull within themselves, but many don't just make the decision.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, they make the decision, but they don't jump.
Yeah.
So for you to have jumped and you've gone all in 2 years' time, you have created this program, this school that is going to benefit the next generation of Liberia. Is very commendable.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You said that you spent many years in technology.
Yeah.
What's your passion in technology? What's your passion in STEAM? And how did you marry that to come into education?
I fell into tech itself. I've always been a mathematician. I've been really good at math, and I toot my own horn on that. Math
I'm the opposite.
I am terrible at writing. Writing is not my jam. I will read an email 5-10 times before I send it. But you give me some kind of math formula or something that requires me to use that side of my brain is there. And since like the 6th grade, math has just been this thing. And so when I graduated high school in Norcross, Georgia, I went on to Georgia Tech to be an architect. So my first year in architecture school at Georgia Tech, super expensive. I didn't have money to pay for school, although I graduated like top 5% of Norcross High School. But I couldn't pay for school. I had no money. I had no bills. And as part of the Liberian community there were these 2 Liberian gentlemen who owned a company, a tech consulting company. And they heard that in our church, they heard Pulu was looking for internship or a way to pay for school. And so they said, okay, what we will do is teach you this part of how tech works, and then you can do that work for us. And it's testing is what it's called. It's essentially before, let's say, a new app is coming out, and they need to check it and make sure that it's doing everything it's supposed to do before you as the consumer get it. There are people who do that. Right. And so since 1999, I started working as a software tester. And it would be the weekends, evening, I'd be training to, learning how to do this. And fortunately, about 2 years into school, I got a job with Toyota because they won a contract with Toyota and doing Toyota finance. So where you go buy a car in a car dealership and they calculate what your credit score is, what your monthly payment will be. The software that does that, I started working on that. So you see the math tie into tech. And so then over the course of my career, it's really just been focused on financial technology. So from Toyota, went on to working with Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I got my first tech consulting job with Accenture, LLC in the US in 2004, and I have been with Accenture ever since. I've gone from the lower level in Accenture consultant to now as an executive part of the leadership team where I do global recruitment for Meta right now. So, but my main focus too is not just the fintech. The fun part or side of it has always been, how do I ensure that there are people that look like me as I rise through the ranks? So I've led women in tech groups for Accenture, where ensuring that we have our thousands of women have an opportunity if they go on maternity leave or they're just coming into tech. Women that look like me coming from HBCU, let me give you the reels on how this works, because you will be the one of at the table with a bunch of white males. How do you support them? And so that's really where my passion lies, is in mentorship and sponsorship for women. And then on the STEAM side for girls, ensuring that love for math, science starts early. So I have an organization too, Peppajar, that we do STEAM education for first and fourth graders. So kind of leveraging all the passions and figure out a way so that my 8 hours I spend away from my children is spent doing something that I really enjoy doing. Yeah.
Well, it's very good to know that in your journey that there were two elder Liberians who knew that you were looking for some sort of work and actually reached back to help you. And now you are also doing the same for. So they paid it forward for the.
They did, and when I think of them, it brings tears to me, because honestly, I would not have been able to pay my dorm fees, my books, but Uncle Eddie and them, just like, they looked out for me. Yeah, they saved me, because that's essentially where my career has come from.
Why a school?
I've been asked that I didn't really come with the intention on starting a school. I knew there needed to be some sort of education for the tech space to elevate our knowledge and to help some of our industry spaces move forward. I see the potential that tech has to take us where something will take you 5 years to do, but with tech you could probably do it in 2 or 2.5. So over the years, I've been just thinking about, what do I want to do in the country when I go there, and how do I want to make a difference? And the work I've been doing the last 7 years or so is helping Fortune 5 companies scale their operations around the globe. So when you look at countries like India, Philippines, they've managed to grow their middle class by having like call centers, delivery centers that, when something happens with your Facebook account, there's somebody behind the scenes that helping to fix that. So over the last 7 years or so, essentially I've helped those companies hire about 100,000, if not plus, individuals around the globe. So I said, but why can't we do that in Liberia? Because most of it means they graduate high school and then they can be trained over the course of 8 weeks to do this work, which means that's what the Philippines have done, that's what India has done to grow their economy. So I was like, all right, we need to do this in Liberia, but because we already close enough to English and not too far off, right? We close enough to Europe, so you can support the European time zone. There's all these benefits. Thing is, we don't have the people that have the skills, the necessary skills to do the job. So I can't go on the market and hire 30 people for Google. It doesn't exist. So which means I need to skill those people, upskill them. So which means, okay, Gwatoh, now go back to high school. Let's start them at 10th grade, because now in 9th grade they do the YX exam. 10th grade, senior high is where I can catch them before they go into the job market, because studies show majority of our young people, when they graduate high school, are not going to go on to higher education. They're just gonna go into the workforce. We see them on the streets or driving motorbikes, right? So how do we help them see that there could be more and then also create jobs for them to be able to go into? So I started with high school.
I have to just give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
For that, because even going on the tour of Loop Academies, and I know you're still in the process of making this a good home for the students, but I see your vision.
Well, yeah, it's
and it's amazing.
Thank you. I'm not alone in this. I have a wonderful co-founder in Marvin Tarawali, exceptional young man that a lot of young people can look up to. Marvin started an organization here some years back called Smart Liberia.
Okay, I heard that.
Yeah, and Smart Liberia is an entrepreneurial hub. Essentially, he and his co-founders created this space where young people can come with their ideas for their business. He helps hone them. They have tutoring sessions, like all these beautiful things. And when you go around Liberia right now, I guarantee you in the various offices, there's somebody who worked or was trained at Smart Liberia. I had taken my year off work to come with my kids and my mom, and I said, okay, in this year, I will figure out where I want to put not just my brain capital or my sweat capital, but my money. Like, where is that going to go? And then I talked to everybody. I wanted to be in tech. I wanted to impact girls, like all of these things, and I just ran my mouth with everybody around Liberia. And fortunately enough, a good friend of mine, Monique Liverpool, introduced me to Marvin. Okay. And she says, the two of you should connect. She mentors him. She's like, he's been talking about this idea for Loop. You've been talking about trying to build skills in tech. The two of you need to talk. It's like, okay. So Marvin and I early, I was in 2021. I had already been here a year, right? So 2021, we started talking and said, okay, what are we gonna do? We interviewed each other for like 3 months. I said we went on business dates.
Can we work together?
Yeah, because
we on the same page.
We on the same page. Marvin is he's a African Leadership Academy graduate. He graduated from Oxford. Like, I went to Georgia Tech. Like, the brains is there. Yeah. But to have a business partner, it means you also need to like mesh with each other. What's our vision for the future? What do our families look like? Like, how do we connect? Because I'm not coming in this alone. I came here with my mom, my 2 children, my husband, my brothers and sisters in Atlanta who are also supporting me. Like, I'm not in it by myself. And Marvin is not. He has his mom, his siblings. So how do we marry all of that together? And that's sort of how Loop co-founders came to be, and that is, after a few months of like, yeah, you like doing that, okay, we're gonna do this. And then I accepted the offer to be one of the founders as the COO, and we just hit the ground running. So we have a 3-year program. We're starting in 10th grade, so we only recruit for 10th graders. Okay. And our 10th graders right now, they started last year, so they're in their first school year. We focus on experiential learning. We focus on project-based learning. The kids are grouped into groups of 5, and they solve everyday problems that are impacting their communities and impacting our country, impacting our region, to eventually what's impacting our continent. Yeah. That's what we need them to see and focus. And so them working in this group setting means that each person, your role is important, but together you can solve what needs to be done. Marvin is the education subject matter expert. I'm the tech subject matter expert. So together, that's how we marry the two together. Second education, yes, okay. And that's how our Loop has sort of come to function. So we have our first 10th grade class. There's 27 students. 55% of them are young women. So they're from all different walks of life. Families who can't afford it, families who can, and then there's that balance in between.
So in order to be accepted to the school, what do the students need to have?
First thing is age range.
Okay.
Is between 12 and 20 years old.
Okay.
And it goes up to 20 because of our circumstance of being in Liberia, right?
Understandable.
You have many who don't attend school for semesters, years, because family can't afford it. We've had wars come through where people can't really afford to go to school. So we give that opportunity. Secondly, they need to have taken their WIACS exam for 9th grade. Outside of those two things, you just come, we assess, we talk to your parents. We've introduced student loan deferment, which is first of its kind in Liberia, because we wanted to take away that burden of feeling like I can't go to school, I can't afford it in the middle of the school year, I work, like take that away from the child so that they can learn. So that's one thing we've introduced with Loop. The tuition is $2,000 a year, been afforded for some of our students to have sponsors. Where we have one of our students said she wanted to be a lawyer, so we have a lawyer who's sponsoring her high school and has offered to sponsor her university and law school if she continues on to it. Angeline is fantastic. My student, she's great.
That's wonderful.
Our official launcher was VP Taylor. She sponsored a couple of our students through their 3 years here as well and donated tablets. So that's sort of the rounding of it is project-based learning. All of them are on tablets. We have a computer lab that we're still in the process of building. But the idea is to give them enough experience in tech and in project teams so that when they graduate, they know that they can function, but they can't function by themselves.
Yes.
They need other people around them to make a goal and an objective happen. So when the students first join, and the teachers join, we put them through this process where we call our onboarding or unlearning. We need them to unlearn some of the things or habits from traditional school. So the first few months we had teachers separated from the students. So the teachers were in training learning about resiliency, self-awareness, and then myself and Marvin were with the students every day doing workshops with them on collaboration. What is your superpower if you had a superpower, and how does that superpower help another student who has a similar superpower or a different one? How can you work together? Like just getting them in the habit of working together and thinking together so that they can unlearn. And one of the things is that by the end of their 10th grade year, they need to have selected a business. That the intent is by the time they graduate high school, they would have been running this business or learn how to run a business, so that when they're done, you've now employed one person after themselves, right? Exactly. And if their business grows, they can potentially hire one or two others or even more, right? We'll get it registered for them, so pay for registration, help them with their business plan, all their clearance, all that kind of red tape stuff that they need to know how to do that. They'll have the opportunity to do so. And then we're giving them other things in the school, like the school store we're going to open up. They will run the school store. The canteen, they will also be part of running the canteen. We have a tailoring room that we're going to set up as well so that they learn basic skills for sewing. But the thought is all these different TVET or vocational skills that they're learning, some sort of product will come out of it, right? And if that product can be sold in the school store or is one of their businesses that they own, it's money that they earn themselves and they can use to support themselves.
Wow.
That's the goal.
No, that's a great goal.
Thank you.
And I'm very excited to hear and see what the students come up with. And then, once they get through the program, actually seeing it implemented. So that's awesome. You plan on expanding Loop Academies at some point? I know this is still the baby process now, but for the future goal.
Oh, definitely. So both Marvin and I, our fathers are from Saloon. Our mothers are from Liberia. So the goal is to have Loop existing in both countries.
Yes.
Because our demographics are the same when it comes to education. The metrics all show the same, right? But we aren't trying to build a super high school.
Okay.
The goal is that we want to build these or establish these clusters of schools.
Okay.
So 10 schools that work together,
Okay.
where 3 out of 10 of the schools is an entrepreneurial lab, similar to Smart Liberia,
Right.
computer lab or computer center, and any one of the other 9 schools students can come to,
Okay.
and then science lab. So again, any one of the other schools, because then what you do is your resources are focused on those 3, and you're not copying and pasting in all the other school and using resources to manage that.
Yeah.
And there's a potential for us to have 72 clusters, 720 schools around the country.
Wow.
So this first one is just sort of our research and development space where we're building our curriculum, our assets, understanding how we're going to scale, building our technology to run all of that. And then our first cluster we're hoping will be in Painesville with the first 10 schools.
Wow. That's so exciting.
I'm excited.
That is so exciting for the students. What does a typical day look like?
One of the things about Loop is that we try to build a sense of cohesion, like community, and that they are our VIPs. So they are, and they will tell you this because I have repeated it to them enough. You are at the center of all this. Staff, teachers, everybody's here to ensure your success. And we put it in their heads every day. So when they walk into school, one of the first things they see is that big sign that says, "We believe in you." That is our motto. Throughout the day, they must hear this from our teachers, from our staff, because we need them to know that we believe in you. We don't have a grading policy at Loop. The concept is that you're just not there yet.
Yeah.
You just haven't reached the point where you've learned the skill to get you there yet. So let's just keep working on it and you will get there. We're not going to put A, B, C, D, F on it. Yeah. So their school day starts with the morning they come. Usually on Mondays we have our assembly. This is our Loop cloth, by the way. It was super important to me that we didn't have European style uniforms. You know, the 27 of them have been grouped in groups of 5. We focus on project-based learning and experiential learning, right? So the thought is that each of those groups are figuring out ways to solve a particular problem.
Okay.
And the way they do that is through their core subjects. So each day they get to go through their math, science, history, all of those core subjects. But there's also these times that we built in called content time.
Okay.
So 15, 20 minutes every couple of hours where this time is used to read, to absorb the information, look at your various learning resources. Because what we know is that in Liberia, current is not current. So when they go home, they may not have access to electricity. So the thought is that with their tablets, everything they need to do needs to be done here during the day.
Sure.
And so their full day is focused on ensuring that they go through their core subjects, they have content time, and then in the middle of the day, I also provide lunch, so free lunch, because then, if you have a full mind and a full body, a full belly, your mind is ready for learning and you're not just, focused on the hunger. Because at the end of the day, for them to really learn and absorb the information that their instructors are supporting them with, they need to be fully present.
Yes.
So that's like the structure of their day. And infused in that will be the various TVET or vocational skills programs that we'll have, whether it's from tailoring to running the school store, running the canteen, or the maker space we have. And as I shared earlier, each of them will have their own business, right? So parts of that will be job readiness. How do you take your business from an idea to actually producing something in a product and providing customer service.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I want to go to Loop Academies.
It's funny.
I already go to Loop Academies. Sounds like fun. So how can the viewers support Loop Academy, support you, and support Marvin?
We are on all social platforms. We have a website, loopacademies.com. We have our Instagram is loop.academies, and then you can find us on Facebook. You can also find myself, Gwatoh Kroma, and Marvin Tarawali on Facebook. We're currently running a campaign to sponsor students. The tuition, as I said before, is $2,000 a year. Our goal eventually is to get down to $1 a day for a student once we build our technology. We also have a nonprofit established in the U.S. So if you wanted to donate in the U.S., it's tax deductible. We also are a nonprofit here in Liberia as well. And we take tip me, we have bank account,
mobile money,
orange money, we take all of
we take all USD, LRD,
PayPal, and all of the above.
You want to give it, they'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. And we have various projects that we're doing. So we have a generator room and a purchase a generator. Eventually we'll go to solar. So we could either focus on getting the solar now. There's a project for that. Our tailoring room, we need to build our school store, and I'm pointing down to these places all over the school. The school store, we need to build out. The kitchen that we just finished building, there's funds going towards that. So there's lots computer lab.
Lots of work to do.
Lots of work to do. Computer labs that we need to fill with computers. Science lab that we need to fill with
Be
equipment.
the person that invests in the next generation.
Please.
You will not be sorry.
We can't even name what the science lab after you said if you donate and want my science lab, my computer lab, my canteen, the school store.
I love that.
We can put your name on it. Anything, any amount from $50, $10 to $2,000 for the school year or more. We'll take it. So we welcome it. Thank you.
There you have it. What advice would you give to any Liberian that may have a fresh idea or want to come back home and invest in Liberia?
So I say focus on your passion, because at the end of the day, if I'm going to be away from my children for hours on end, it better be for something that is worthwhile and that is something that I'm truly investing in the future of this country for. So Liberia is a blank canvas. Any industry you want to go in, there's an opportunity to be in it. And tech sort of can underpin that. I think I mentioned before, if something's going to take 5 years to do, technology could probably help you get there in 2.5, 3 years. So it's a blank canvas. If you figure you want to do something, you want to partner, we're certainly here to help and support that too. I think the more the merrier.
Yes.
When there are more of us in our various expertise coming together, it will help us move this country forward even that much faster.
Well, Gwatoh, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Thank you for taking me on the tour. Thank you for letting me meet the students. It's been an eventful day, and I'm really excited to see the future of Loop Academies. I'm really excited to see the space when it gets done, the school store, come back and have some lunch.
Yes. Marvin calls it our official launch. It's like, Gwatoh, we launched, but we didn't really launch yet. When we have all our spaces ready to go, then we can say we have launched.
So you guys want to be a part of the launch too. So.
Yes, please. We welcome you. Thank you for giving us the space to share our story and to share what we're doing with these young people. That will definitely impact and help to move our country forward. And that's what we all want for Liberia, right?
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Same here.
Make sure to check out Loop Academies. Make sure to follow them, donate, do whatever you need to do, but this is the future of Liberia.
That's it.
And the students that are coming in need your support. So thank you so much again, Gwatoh. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
See you next time.
Bye.